Do you think this day and age you can say, I want a job for life?
A lot of young people, especially in the UK, take for granted education system because it's free as well. Like in developing countries, they don't have that, and that's something they would love to have that and to work hard as well.
You've got a lot of people who are sort of relaxing on the system, like who don't want to work, don't have those kind of aspirations, who know that they can just sort of be an adult for the rest of their life.
That idea that if you go to university you have a job, it's a myth. It doesn't exist.
When they're suggesting that people should go to university.
I'm not saying they shouldn't, but people should be aware that going to university does not guarantee you a job. You need to realise that.
Do you think there's an importance and a significance of providing vocational training, either within the UK or sort of wider afield?
With vocational training, I think that's very important because, like I said, not everyone's going to go into banking, open the shop, sew your own clothes.
So do you think you'd be happy as a checkout assistant in Sainsbury's for the rest of your life? I'm
not trying to be a billionaire, I'm just trying to be comfortable. It's not about, oh, look at my 6-bedroom house, and it's not, for me, it's about being comfortable and the necessities. It's nice to have luxuries, but you don't need to overdo it.
So do people think that actually doing a job that you like and having ambition is a luxury that people in the West have just kind of got used to?
I think in this culture we're driven by money and driven by greed. And although you do need people to work in supermarkets, I feel as though the education system fails a lot of these people.
What do people think about education and maybe how your prospects would differ in developing countries, in the sense that if your parents have got a choice between feeding your family or sending you to school?
You know, they need the money, so they need the kids to work.
This is the only advantage that I think developing countries have over us, because they recognise what people actually need and not what they just want.
People need the right person for the job. If I'm a woman and you don't give me the job because I can't do math skills, then I'll be like, fair enough. Give it to the other person's a man, he's a man.
I think it's tough that you can be too politically correct when it comes to things like jobs.
For me, I'd like to think the best person gets the job, and I think the focus needs to be on making sure that in developing countries the women have had the right education that makes them better than the man for the job, if that is the case. And if they're not, then I think you need to take it back to that rather than giving them a job when they're going to do it less well, because I don't think that positive discrimination doesn't work in that respect.
People have to, or they want to go and have children, and as an employer I completely respect that. We all have our own kind of discriminations outside of work, but I think when you go into the workplace and you're the employer, you have to completely just see what's in front of you.
I think Alan Sugar got in trouble recently because he felt as an employer it was his right to ask women when he was interviewing them, do you have any plans to have a family or have children? And he felt as an employer he would like to know that.
If you've got a guy setting up a humble business and then he's approached by 2 people, male and female, and the female says, yeah, in about a couple of years I want to have kids, and he's trying to make a business for himself. If it's small, then understandably so, he's going to go for the male over the female. They may be both equally qualified, and even in some cases the female may be more qualified than the male and even more able. But because he, you know, at the end of the day, they're all trying to sort themselves out, they're all trying to make life work for themselves.
What would a hope or dream be for someone growing up in a developing country?
Just to make the next day even would be a dream for them.
I did some work in Botswana. We worked with orphanages and whatnot, and the young people there some of them had more aspirations than myself. They always wanted to be recording artists kind of thing. There was looking at lawyers and all the rest of it. They had the aspirations. I suppose maybe the road to get there would be a bit more challenging than it would be in a more developed country. But nonetheless, the heart and the motive to be successful was definitely like the general consensus throughout the whole of the orphanage.
The verse in the Bible that says, God says, I have a plan to prosper you. How do you think that child would feel?
To be honest, when I was volunteering, they have so much faith, and you're kind of confused as to why, because they're not living in certain circumstances. You wouldn't expect them to have that faith, but they do. I think that's what they hold on to.